Political unrest and upheaval created a fear and frustration that was an unfortunate part of life. Franzfeld, Yugoslavia was no place to live in the 1930s. On May 20th of 1934, he was born into this troubled area.
Hi, I'm Erna Becker. I was born in Yugoslavia in 1938. I had a happy childhood for the first 7 years, but then things changed when Tito took over Yugoslavia. And we were put in camps, first in Franzfeld, that was my hometown.
As war broke out, he faced a daily nightmare of hunger, fright, and confusion. To a young boy oblivious to much of the difficulty, his was simply a quest for daily peace and fun. When the German army arrived, his family expected relief and help. Being Germans themselves, they were looking for acceptance and approval. His father soon found himself a prisoner of war. Mom and 4 children were left to survive in poverty and deprivation. By the summer of 1944, the Red Army of the Soviet Union was rapidly advancing. Fear turned to terror when the Russians invaded and established strict and regimented rules.
What happened in 1945, the Soviet Army came through our areas. And of course there was a lot of mayhem and mess and mass killings here and there.
No one was permitted out after dark. Food was scarce and scavenging was prohibited. It was then that he and his brother concocted a plan to leave before daybreak, spend the day racing to another town to search for food for the family. They found a house where they were provided with some soup and bread. As they returned home to Franzfeld, they heard gunshots and ran to hide in a ditch. They waited until dark and were able to make it home to their anxiously awaiting mother. In 1945, the end of the war provided no relief from the ruthless Russian invaders.
The Second World War ended in May 1945, and didn't make any difference for us. For us, the war went on, if not worse. In fact, it got to a place where it was complete annihilation in some instances.
One day, all the elderly, the sick, and the young children were separated from the able-bodied. All who survived would remember the trauma of mothers being separated from young children.
The really worst thing is, and which was not that hurting, but I seen where they tore families apart. There was because a lot of people, the parents either died or was gone or, not around. There was a couple of kids, and maybe in the 8 to 10 years old, I don't know. And the boy and the girl, they took the girl away from the boy, and I can't talk now.
Those unable to work were shipped by wagons to a neighboring town. Franzfeld was encircled with barbed wire and a guarded gate. The forced labor, coupled with a deterioration in the quantity and quality of food, further eroded any hope of the future. Smuggling food was severely punished. The death toll daily rose. For him, living at the Rudolfsnad prison camp, being separated from his father and now his mother, provided increasing mental anguish. Starvation and disease ravaged their ranks.
They separated us again, and my grandmother and I went to Rudolfsnad. That was one of the death camps. And my grandmother and my father were back in Franzfeld. It was very bad in Rudolfsnad. We got very little food, and a lot of people died. In fact, Rudolfsnad housed 17,000 to 20,000 people during this time, where the original inhabitants were 3,200, and 11,000 died there. And it was only one of 5 death camps.
Seeing wagons go by loaded with dead bodies was a regular nightmare.
The intent was to kill people.
It was during this time that his grandmother taught him how to use a screen and stick to trap birds for food. Survival was the lone goal. One night, his mother was able to sneak out of the camp at Fransfeld and run to Rudolfsnad to attempt to find her children and return with them. She was able to bribe a guard with cigarettes and was successful in reuniting her family. Dad was still away, and word had yet to reach them as to whether he survived. Later, the family was able to locate his dad and enjoy a precious reunion in Hungary. In 1950, the opportunity to relocate to the United States was provided and quickly accepted. The family moved to Mansfield when a work opportunity presented itself. By then, he was a teenager. He met his future wife when she was a neighbor of his. Married in 1959, his wife was invited to the Mansfield Baptist Temple. He came along and trusted Christ as his personal Savior. Baptized 2 weeks later, he has been an active member of this church ever since. He has served in the bus ministry at MBT for over 30 years, faithfully bringing young people and adults to church to hear about the gospel of Jesus Christ. 4 years ago, he fell from a roof and was injured. After these injuries, he learned that he would need to have an arm removed because of cancer. When asked what his favorite verse in the Bible is, he replies, "Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not into thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths." Please welcome and honor with us Mr. Adam Giess.